You got a whole bunch of new TV shows, right? You got Bridgerton is back for season 4. If you are interested in who kisses who, then Bridgerton is always the show for you.
Exactly.
You got Starfleet Academy.
He's playing like a space pirate who is ripping off the Federation.
And also, you got this new Game of Thrones spinoff.
You should know that I would kill and die for egg. That's what you should know about my kingdoms.
I mean, same. Yes.
And so we wanted to talk about all these new shows and also this idea of whether they're reaching new audiences or not. But something that I found really fascinating about this conversation is we kind of sat for a moment about the casting of Bridgerton. It's like one of the most diverse casts that you've seen on television, but they don't actually sit in the diversity too much of these characters. They actually kind of just say they're just part of the tapestry of this world. And there is this whole discussion about like whether that is a good thing or not. And I got a lot out of this conversation with these guys, so I hope that you do too. Let's go. Jackson Weaver is here. Roxana Hadadi is here. Michelle Cho is here. Hello, all of you. How's it going?
Oh, so good.
Good.
It's nice to be among friends. This is delightful. Okay, we're going to start by taking it back to, if you guys don't mind, Regency era London.
We begin another season. I should like great gossip.
The social season might look a little different this year.
No. You must begin the proper way.
Dearest gentle reader.
They will attend the ball tonight and they will not appreciate any of it. Just once. Just to have that feeling for one glorious night.
You could go tonight.
We would need to find me a good costume.
Lady Whistledown's been outed. We know who she is. She says, dearest gentle reader, with her whole chest. Roxana, we're back for season 4. Tell me how you watched the first couple episodes of this season so far.
Yes.
Walk me through it. How are you feeling about the return of Bridgerton?
This show grew on me. The first season, I was sort of like, I don't know. And then I think it's gotten stronger as it has progressed.
Yes.
So this 4th season is based on Julia Quinn's book, An Offer from a Gentleman. You have some of the standard things. There's Whistledown drama. There's the Queen trying to be amused. But the primary thing here is that it is Benedict's love story, but it is really a Cinderella story because we are meeting this new character named Sophie, who is a maid. She has like a secretive, mysterious past. She captures Benedict's heart. And she also inspires like a whole discussion within Bridgerton about like class and labor and all of these things that I did not expect to see in this world. And I'm very happy to see them tackling that. So I am pro so far.
It's worth noting, we got, there's 7 Bridgerton children. Each one of them has their own book and has their own season. So far, we're only on the 4th. So like the first season was Daphne. I do not care for that season, same as you. But then I think like as the show kind of like gone on and built on, you kind of go like, oh, I'm invested in these people's lives. I think they've gone a little bit better sort of at showing their full lives. And I too am on board. I'm on board for all of this. We got a whole bunch of new characters here. Do you want to just walk us really quickly through them, Roxana?
Sure. So there is Sophie, as I mentioned. She is the like maid who is capturing Benedict's heart. She is connected to this new family led by Lady Araminta Gunn. She has 2 daughters, Rosamund and Posey. They are on the marriage market, of course.
Of course.
And then we're also sort of just like hitting some of our established characters. We have the Queen and her friendship with Lady Danbury, Lady Danbury's brother who is in a romance with Violet Bridgerton. I mean, like, if you mapped all of this, it would get like super confusing.
Yes, of course.
But the people that you have to know most importantly are Sophie, Lady Araminta Gunn, and her 2 daughters.
It's important to note that it's Benedict's season. Benedict is, shall we say, the rake of the family. He's the
roguish one.
The roguish one. The one who's like a little like, Benedict, can you calm down a little bit? But maybe he's going to calm down this season. Michelle, this season is getting a lot of attention because it's the first season of Bridgerton to have an East Asian lead. The character's name, as Roxana mentioned, is Sophie Beck, played by Yeren Ha. What struck you about the way that her Asianness is kind of showing up in this arc?
So, what struck me is that it basically doesn't, except visually, and pretty much only to the viewing audience. So the actress Yeren Ha, she is beautiful, wonderful in this role. She has almost like prototypically East Asian features in my view, and yet no one in the show sees that, including Benedict Bridgerton, which you'll know what I mean if you watch the first couple of episodes and you're like, oh, he's looking for this girl that he can't find. And so when you ask how it affects her character, there's no narrative link between her Asianness and her personality or her behavior. She's like pretty much British, right? And I guess that's kind of similar to the way that other racialized characters have performed in Bridgerton.
Yeah.
And, some people really love that. Some people don't. So maybe that's, we can discuss that more if you want.
I was going to say,
but
like, from the very start, from the very first season, Bridgerton's sort of whole world has kind of been like, we're a bit post-racial here. Like, we're sort of, where they're not particularly casting for race. And the first few seasons of this have been seen as a win. I think, like, as you sort of get deeper and deeper into the show, you kind of want to go, like, well, do you want to explore it a little? And honestly, like, I'm not sure that that's what I want out of Bridgerton personally. I'm like, for me, keep it out of that world. But I also understand the idea that, like, every time that you're playing with representation, it actually does make a difference. So I can understand how people might see it as a kind of a missed opportunity. Jackson, let me ask you about Sophie Beck's name, because there is a backstory to that character's name. What's that backstory there?
Yeah, Sophie Beck, which Baek, which is a Korean name. In the book itself, it was Sophie Beckett. As you mentioned, there's not necessarily a direct causal link between character and race going from that adaptation, going from that book rather into the adaptation.
Yeah.
And when they were creating this season, they wanted to give relevance to this character and who they are in their backstory, but they don't want to make it about her race. They didn't want to say, oh, she is a Korean person, so she's going to act XYZ way. There's going to be a whole backstory. There's going to be a whole thing. It's no, she is, visible, quote unquote, taking up space, being a normal human being from a normal background, but it's not what defines her. So there is that subtle shift from Sophie Beckett to Sophie Beck, and then you're kind of gone to the races. And as been mentioned, it does not necessarily impact directly her character, which I think, as you mentioned, is kind of divisive, but I would say on the whole a celebrated aspect of Bridgerton. We have that one diversion in the Queen Charlotte spinoff show, which does speak about the great experiment, they call it, and why there might be a black queen in Regency era England. Some people are a little bit upset because they're like, I just want to get lost in this fantasy world. Some people are like, thank you for giving that representation. So this is kind of another element where it splits the difference a little bit, and you have that representation, you have that acknowledgement, but it's not, this is what the show is about kind of angle.
It is. I mean, the fact that it's a fourth season, Michelle, I'm going to come back to you, Roxana, in just a moment. But the fact that it's a fourth season, Michelle, is kind of an interesting point to me, because this conversation about Bridgerton has been going on for a minute. And from the very start, they kind of signaled explicitly being like, we want to imagine a world where these differences are differences. They are not celebrated. They are not mocked. They are just kind of like, these characters have been cast in these roles, and it matters that they've been cast, but that's about the extent to which we're going to represent it. I know you have thoughts on the name change as well. Do you want to share some of those thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I have to just preface everything by saying, I thoroughly enjoy Bridgerton.
Yeah.
And I also have mixed feelings when I step back and kind of think about what it may be doing politically or, culturally. But in any case, what I found really interesting about this name change is that Peck is a very Korean name. So it kind of goes beyond, the racial categories and signifiers that we might be accustomed to, the kind of larger categories of East Asian, South Asian, black, white. And it's kind of adding a sort of ethnic specificity, which I thought was interesting. I mean, again, we know that the BU kind of doubles down on racial representation in and of itself having some progressive effect, because seeing someone who's East Asian in the center of this story as the romantic heroine is unprecedented, right? And so, that in and of itself is a gesture that requires we flip the script on the usual demands that, this type of romance, and again, this is based on a romance novel, which is a huge genre. I mean, so many people read and fantasize about and care about, even if they're not willing to admit it, this kind of story. So we have to flip the imaginative leap where it's not just we're by default identifying with the white leads. It's kind of calling on viewers to the other way if you're not Asian.
Roxana, let me ask you, 3 seasons under its belt, I think Bridgerton seems to be sort of hitting its groove. Do you want to talk about this season? How do you rate this season so far compared to previous seasons?
honestly would say that it's my favorite because I think it's
Whoa.
finally
Okay, go
yeah,
off.
because I think it's finally making a statement on the world. I mean, as we just discussed, this is not really a world that dives into like cultural backgrounds past just being like our characters are going to India or like some characters are from Scotland, right? Like there's no real discussion of like cultural specificity. And that's fine to a certain degree because like as Michelle was just saying, like you're still getting the representation aspect. But I really am responding to the labor storyline of this season. I think that it's really interesting that the way the show is even shot is a little bit different. We're finally getting maids and servants doing their chores in the foreground of a scene. We're spending time downstairs in the Bridgerton house, like within the kitchens, within where the servants hang out. And like Downton Abbey and Gilded Age do this, but I think this season having a maid war, as they are calling it, where like the servant class is sort of wondering like, are we getting compensated well enough? Like all of that stuff happens because of Sophie. And I just think that's a really interesting thing to do. I also enjoy that basically every season of the show is like the Bridgerton boys need a strong female character to tell them all the ways in which they suck. And that also occurs this season. And I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, like I'm actually really enjoying it because I think it's doing something just different enough to be interesting without upending the successful formula for the show.
I will say this, spending more time downstairs, that seems to be to me like an influence of how successful and how good the Gilded Age is. I mean, like that is a show that has spent like that is so good at spending time downstairs that you're like, actually, it's just such a wasted opportunity not to. I'm going to move on in just a moment, but Jackson, I want to give you the last word on this because I know you're a bit of a skeptic, and I love to hear a skeptic take on the air. So, how are you feeling about Bridgerton season 4 so far?
I think it's maybe bad to give me the last word because I'm the wet blanket, but I'm the wet blanket in the sense of subjectively, it's not my bag. Objectively, I think it's well made and I think it's interesting and there's a lot you can dive into. I will say that I do agree that I like the kind of class-based examination of this plot. We do see like whether somebody from a quote unquote lower class can, you know, break through into the higher class and like their own ideas of worth and all that kind of gets swept into it. But this is a show throughout, other than maybe that spin-off side quest, Queen Charlotte, that is intractably in and of itself about romance. I recently found out that I am autistic and I don't really have much of an interest or insight into romance in general. I can like shows and movies that use romance as a vehicle. You know, I love Sleepless in Seattle, but it's like, can this man overcome grief, accept like what has happened to him and like become a loving father, and whether or not he finds love by the end is the decision maker on that. But when it's in and of itself about romance, serving romance for the purpose of romance by and large, I'm just kind of like checking my watch being like, when is this going to be over? Because I don't care who kisses who. I don't care. So it's not for me, but not negating its quality and the audience that it does serve who are interested in that. And it's very fair to be interested in that. I'm just kind of odd.
If you are interested in who kisses who, then Bridgerton is always the show for you.
Exactly.
And if you're not on board with that, I can completely understand that is not your thing. You can catch the first part of season 4 of Bridgerton right now on Netflix. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Jackson Weaver's here, Roxana Hadadi's here, Michelle Cho's here. We're going to switch gears, and we are going to talk about this new Game of Thrones spinoff.
Sir Erland raised me to be a true knight, not with sword or lance, but with honor. And I swore that I would.
What's this? It's a hedge knight, ain't it? What? It's like a knight, but sadder.
We're not sad.
It's like a knight, but sadder. So that's from the trailer of Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, set 100 years before the events of the original Game of Thrones show. Jackson, what should people know about the premise here?
You should know that I would kill and die for egg. That's what you should know about
I mean, same. Yes.
Yeah, go off.
No, what it's about, as you mentioned, like a century before Game of Thrones, we're following Sir Dunk. He's, as was mentioned in that clip, a hedge knight, which is kind of like, I mean, they described all that sort of stuff. It's a knight that doesn't have land, that is not as respected as quote unquote normal.
He doesn't have
knights.
a shield, it looks like, but yes.
He doesn't even have a shield. He doesn't have a sigil. He doesn't know really what he's doing. He was orphaned. Another knight kind of took him on and showed him the ropes. And then right before the show begins, dies. And then Sir Dunk needs to kind of prove himself. There's at the beginning of the show, there's this kind of knight's battle tournament that he wants to go to improve himself at. He doesn't have all the stuff that he needs, so he another kind of class-based story that he needs to show himself as being worthwhile. As he's going over there, he meets this bald little kid named Egg. And that little kid ends up being his squire, and it's kind of an odd couple situation in the sense that Sir Dunk is not really the smartest guy ever.
No.
While this kid Egg knows every knight in the kingdom, knows everything you need to know about anything. He's great, hilarious, funny, cute, adorable. I love it so much, and it's a much more kind of comedic entry into the Game of Thrones world.
I gotta tell you, for the first episode, you see Egg and go, I don't know if I want this kid hanging around with me all the time. But Michelle, when Jackson said I would live and die for Egg, that you were like, me too. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this tone, first of all, of this new Game of Thrones series. It is a stark departure from the original show, which is like this gritty, dark thing, right? So is House of the Dragon, but also this is based on a George R.R. Martin like little novella. So it's a bit lighthearted. It is way less intense. You're on Team Egg. You're vibing with the show so far, Michelle.
Love it. So I am interested in the Game of Thrones like franchise because of its world building, but it gets to be overwhelming. It's huge, it's epic, it's fast, it's dark, it's, all of those things. This show is illuminating a very small corner of it, like the smallest thing, and giving us a story that really gets us in like the muck and grit, and it's like almost you can like smell it as you're watching. It's like so tactile.
You sure can.
It feels so real. And so I love the characters. Egg is so great as the precocious kid. And then Dunk has nothing but his size. He's like just huge. But in terms of the way power is represented or how it's felt today, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool to see a character that has none of the social trappings of power, but maybe in some ways a physical might, but is not going to exploit that for like terrible ends.
Yeah.
So I root for it for that reason. And I was like, AI did not make this, could not have made this.
Never.
It's
incredibly
muddy
lived in. It's incredibly lived in the best possible ways. 100%. Roxana, let me ask you, House of the Dragon got pretty positive reviews from people who like been longtime fans of the show, but then some still haven't gotten over the way that the original Game of Thrones ended. They're like, great show, right up until the end, and then it kind of goes completely sideways. Do you think a show like this can bring new people into the tent, but also the people who've kind of like left the tent, they can kind of maybe bring them back in?
I think it can. I mean, I count myself among the people who, like, by the time Game of Thrones was in Dorne, I was like, this is not my adaptation. This is not working for me. And I am also far more mixed on this show than my co-panelists. But I do think that at least these first couple of episodes are, just as said, giving you a different corner of the world building. I think you're not tasked with suddenly learning all these houses, right? Like Game of Thrones really asked you to keep track of like everyone in the Seven Kingdoms,
how they're related,
what all their how they're related, what were the stakes, what did they do in the past war. This is in a very snug little period of time where like there are no dragons right now, there is no war. You can just focus on like the tourney and what are the personalities at the tourney. I also think that this show has an exceptional performance from the actor Daniel Ings, who plays this character Sir Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm. The first episode has him like challenge Dunk to a dance-off, and it's so fun. I mean, you're not going to see that in like any other Game of Thrones adaptation.
No.
So I think it's doing enough to make people who are maybe burnt on the show be like, this is different.
I'm having a good time.
Taking me to a different place. I'm having a good time. Who knew you could have a good time?
Not me.
In the Game of Thrones world.
When I started the show, certainly not me. A Night of Seven Kingdoms is streaming now on Crave. New episodes dropping on Sundays. We're going to switch gears with the time that we have and talk about this new series in the Star Trek universe that's also trying something different.
We're all the first Academy class to return to our campus in San Francisco after more than 120 years. Some of you are here for your families, some for yourselves. Together, you are the best and the brightest from across the galaxy. A tapestry that is Starfleet.
They are beautiful, and they are well lit, and they are dramatic, and they are smoldering. That is a brand new Star Trek series. It's called Starfleet Academy. It centers on this sort of group of young cadets coming of age while maybe trying to navigate love and also trying to navigate friendship and also space training. Michelle, where does this show sort of land in the larger Star Trek timeline?
Yes. It's a bit of a reboot, like inside as well as outside, you know, the series. So it puts us in the farthest future reaches of the timeline. Kind of picks up where the last series, Star Trek Discovery, left off, but we're in like the 34th century.
Sure.
Very clever when you're stretching the boundaries of the franchise, basically.
That's when I go, sure, why not? What the hell, sure, you know, absolutely.
Yeah.
The idea that like that's how far the timeline is stretched, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm on board with this. Roxana, you're watching this show. What are you liking about it so far?
I mean, you just mentioned something that I really like, which I think the production design is really solid.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time like within Star Trek at this point, right? And I think it takes it in like a shiny, beautifully lit, well-designed sci-fi direction. I also think that some of the cast members are having a good time. Like Holly Hunter is here. Holly Hunter is always watchable.
Always a good
She's
time.
always giving you something gritty and unexpected and quirky.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti is playing.
Oh,
like,
love him.
Thank God for Paul Giamatti. 100%.
He's playing like a space pirate who is ripping off the Federation, and
He's
I
having
maybe
so much
think
fun.
he's having so much fun. I hate to be like spin-off show when, but spin-off show when.
That is so. First of all, I'm capping spinoffs here and now. That's simply
after
the
this
spin-off.
one. After this
Look,
one.
Michelle just mentioned Star Trek Discovery. I was like, I don't even know when that was, like, because I'm sitting around and I'm looking at the list of different shows that we've gotten the last few years, Jackson. There's been Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Section 31, but these shows seem to sort of like kind of embody the spirit, I think, of what you expect normally of the Star Trek universe. But then you get this show, and you've got some fans who are kind of like, I'm not feeling it because it's trying too hard to reach people who are not into Star Trek. It's kind of feels a bit more Beverly Hills 90210 or like kind of the OC, which, listen, now you're speaking my language. It doesn't matter what century you're setting that in, but what do you make of those criticisms?
I mean, I think I'm of two minds again here in that this is not the demographic it's reaching out for, just isn't me. So it didn't hit me. So is that a failing of it? Not necessarily. I think that what it's trying to harken back to is not necessarily what Star Trek in the 60s felt like when you're watching it then, but more its kind of reputation since then, because it being so old, there's elements that read as campy now, you know, the double fist punch, the like bioessentialism of the different alien races, and just kind of the line reads sitting on the chair throwing like phasers out and all that kind of stuff. It kind of reads as cliche.
You said that like derogatory, you know? It was,
well, I mean, I think people do kind of mock it more
They
when
do.
you watch like the Seth MacFarlane shows, when you watch kind of these space shows, they're like making fun of that, but it's just because it was so iconic when it came out. This is kind of going for campiness from the get-go, which I don't think feels the way that diehard fans, or has the same association with the narrative and the world as diehard fans have with that show. And it does kind of feel almost like Sweet Life on Deck in space in some ways. So I don't necessarily.
Is that a recommendation? Is that a letter of recommendation? Okay.
I think that this would be a good show for younger kids if they had actually cast younger kids, because the way that they're all acting, it's like, I don't understand like my body or like the world, but they're also like 25 acting as 17-year-olds. Like make them like 14. It makes more sense. But all of that said, it's fun and silly. And like, if you do like the campiness of the original Star Trek while watching now, you might have some things to draw from this one, but just ignore some of the little bit Disney Channel acting kind of going on as well.
Okay, so we're going to go around the table because we got about 2 minutes left here. And I just want a recommendation from each one of you. If just something else that you're currently watching, you're like, you know what? This is not on a lot of people's radar, but I'm kind of enjoying myself. Jackson, I feel like you're always watching new things. So what do you got?
Oh, watching new things. I mean, can I do a book actually instead? Because one thing that I've been loving, and it's space themed, I recommended it before, but it wasn't a book before, All Tomorrows. This is a book about like the future of humanity and like potential evolution into like very odd ways. And it's very speculative, really interesting, and really out there, and just got a book form after being only on the internet for so long. So like, if you got some time to read something, that's what I would recommend.
Sold. Roxana, what about you, pal? What do you got?
I worry that I recommended this already, but I'm going to do it again because I love it so much. I love this British show called Gangs of London. It is.
I don't think I've heard you recommend that. Go ahead.
Okay. It is about gangs in London.
All right. So the title's pretty literal. Got it. I understand.
Pretty literal.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like, they're all sort of like culturally, ethnically different gangs, and they are fighting for control of London.
Yeah.
So it is very, like a lot of backstabbing, a lot of like negotiation scenes.
I love
and
that.
the action is crazy, right? Like the choreography of the action is insane. So I would really recommend that. It's in its 3rd season right now.
Michelle, you got 30 seconds, pal. What do you got?
Okay, this is not going to surprise. I won't surprise people, I don't think, but I'm watching Singles Inferno season 5. Dating shows from different cultures, very
Yes.
illuminating, romance, but also not.
I'm obsessed with Michelle just yelling, romance. People get that into your lives. I really appreciate your time. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for being here. This has been lovely. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I've been speaking with my pals Roxana Hadadi, Michelle Cho, and Jackson Weaver. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. Guess what? We'll be back tomorrow, so if you're around, we would love to see you then. In the meantime, I hope that you have a great day. Thanks again for being here.